Okay, so we're going to start off by going through the 4 different booth grids based on Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4. So to start with, I have Tier 1 virtual booth grid on my screen. For Tier 1, at the beginning here, you can see that you'll have a booth overview, your booth features, your booth assets, and then your booth rep dashboard. And there's a PDF linked here where you can download onto your desktop to see what your rep dashboard has the ability to do. I will go through a rep dashboard here shortly though, but you will always have a PDF to refer to as well. So getting into Tier 1's first page, what this is going to show you is that you have the ability to, up in the top left corner, have booth navigation. The booth navigation is going to allow attendees to move from booth to booth in between each other versus having to go back out into the exhibit hall to try to find another booth. You can actually have navigation in the top left corner. This is standard in all of our events where you have a next and a previous and ability to get back to the main exhibit floor if you need to. The second thing is your booth name. So that is usually your company's name. Again, that would go up in the top left corner. And then you have your booth logo. The booth logo is something that you would be sharing with us when I get down below into the grid, where you would provide us your logo based on the specifications that we provide. That logo would sit inside your booth. Depending on the template that you choose is where the location of that logo would sit. The kiosk, and I'm going to enlarge my screen slightly. The kiosk is what we call the location of content. So as you can see here, there are 4 different items on this information kiosk. There's an about us, literature, web links, and videos. There are up to 4 lines of text that can be accommodated, and each line item can have one click state where it either opens a video, a URL link, a PDF, or an actual content window. So let's back up for a second. When I say that one of the items in the kiosk can open directly into a video or an external URL or a PDF, those again are items that when an attendee comes in and clicks on one of the items in your information kiosk, it's going to open in an iframe directly a video, a URL, or a PDF. Now, if you have multiple pieces of content for literature, web links, or videos, it's going to open what we call a content window. And a content window is going to have more than one item in that window. So for literature, you can have multiple pieces of content in that content window that relate to literature on your company. Those are normally PDFs, and there is no limit on size of that PDF. Web links, if you have a content window on the web link location in your kiosk, this again means you have multiple web links, external URLs for your company, that when an attendee clicks on web links, it's going to open a listing of all those items. Videos. Again, if you have a content window on this video item in your kiosk, when an attendee clicks on it, it's going to have multiple videos listed out that you have provided us that an attendee can click on and open each of those videos. Let's go ahead and scroll down. Booth rep image. Now, a booth rep image is the image that stands behind the desk in your booth. The avatars in your booth grid, which we'll go through here in a second, are available for you to choose one of the booth rep images. Booth rep chat. I'm going to record a separate demo on the different booth rep chats, but there is a click state in your booth that's going to allow people to click and engage with you as a booth rep. You can see that in my top left corner, an attendee can click to chat with a rep, and then I will show you where you will see that engagement request from an attendee. Social media options. I'll go ahead and minimize my screen slightly. Social media options is available up in the top, again, top left corner of your booth, and in that you can have YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. You can have all of them, or you could choose just the ones that your company uses most. Again, those would be your company's social media links that you would provide us, and we would drop them into your booth so attendees could, in fact, open up your social media. Calls to action, or CTAs. A CTA is a location in your booth where you can have a call to action, and an example would be take our survey, prize giveaway. Those two items are on the lollipop stands in this example here under letter I. Again, those would be any kind of call to action. We customize those lollipop stands or calls to action based on the color branding of your company that you provide us in this grid. Outside of that, the other customizable item in your booth, along with all the other items that I mentioned here, are the colors that you see in red here would actually in fact match your primary color of your company. And then the last thing that's part of this tier 1 booth grid are your monitors or your screens. Again, they're optional. You get 3 with the tier 1 large monitor screen and 2 small screens. And inside those screens, again, just as I had mentioned in the kiosk, these screens can have a video open up, an external URL, a PDF, or a content window with multiple URLs, videos, or PDFs. So these screens can in fact do the same thing that your kiosk does. It's just more of a direct action and usually has a screen grab on top of that. So let's go ahead and get into the grid here. So moving into the different features of your grid, I'm going to again record a separate video for what the chat options are in your booth, the rep dashboard option, and the leaderboard option. So I'm going to skip over this for now. This is an example here as I'm scrolling down of what a content window looks like. Again, you can see multiple items listed in this content window, and each of these items will have a call to action where an attendee can click to open, click to download, or click to view your external URL. Getting into this next page, you can see that we have 9 booth templates that we've given you an option to choose from. All you will need to do is look through these, choose the one that you like the most, and then in the grid you can let us know what number. You do not need to worry about the background or the flooring options. That will be consistent across the whole event. We've added an additional item here for all the tiers, and this is going to give you the ability to host a meeting inside your booth. So if you're in fact interested in having a Zoom, a GoToMeeting, a Microsoft Teams, or a WebEx that your company has a license for, we will in fact support those links inside your booth. So here you would want to give us the name of what you would like to call the meeting, the date and time of which you would like to host that meeting, what type of meeting it is, a Zoom, a GoToMeeting, a Microsoft Teams, or a WebEx, and then provide us the URL for one of those 4 that you're choosing to use. We will drop it into a call to action based on the meeting name that you give us and the date and time that you're going to be available to host that. Getting down into the actual grid, you'll see that there's different boxes here where you can drop in your information, all your company contact information and URL, your booth name, any keywords where attendees, when they come in, would like to search for you. Most of the time it would be, again, the name of your company, any subsidiaries, and any specific products that you have within your company. For tier 1, for booth representatives, this is again live representatives from your company that would be inside the booth during the live expo. For tier 1, you have up to 2 booth representatives. We would need their representative name and their representative's email address. When we get this information, we will add it into the booth so that when those people join into the environment via the same way an attendee would join, the system will recognize you inside your booth that you are a booth representative, and you will be able to see your rep dashboard. Getting down into number 5, if you do not have any representatives that are available live during the live expo, you can provide us an email, and anybody that is interested in chatting with you, you would instead, or that representative would instead receive an email of interest from that attendee. I'm going to move over number 6 again. I'm going to get deeper into the booth chat and what each of those things are able to do. Here's the location for adding your website logo or your booth logo. It gives you the specifications here. And then your company's primary color and secondary color. We would prefer to have both, but we mandatory do need that primary color so that we can add that color into your booth. If you have a secondary color, we will accent your booth with that secondary color in different ways for you. Coming down here, I mentioned that you can have social media. This is where you would provide us the links to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube, and any other social media you might have. The menu kiosk, if you do want to change the names that we default to, the About Us, Literature, Web Links, and Videos, you can give us an alternative text. Otherwise, we will default to the words that normally fill our information kiosks. Here's your About Us. Again, in the information kiosk, there's an About Us. So here's the information that you would give us so that we could populate that within your booth. The text description for your company is up to 2,000 characters. Literature. In the information kiosk, I mentioned you could have it open a single PDF, a URL, or a video, or you can provide us up to 20 pieces of content for literature. So we have given you 20 spots here to drop in the name of your literature, the title, the description up to 500 characters, and a file name, so that when you are dropping in that content for us to start building your booth, we know what to refer to pull those PDFs for literature. Web links. Again, you can have your web links open into one URL, or you can have up to 20 URLs populate the web links. Again, we have web link title, description, and your actual link so that we can build out that web link content window. There are specifications here for 80 characters for the title, 500 characters for the description. Videos. That's the 4th item in your information kiosk. Again, can link directly to a video presentation or webinar. Or you can give us a YouTube, Vimeo, or Ustream. Video in MP4 format if you go with an actual straight MP4 video. Or you can have it open up a content window with up to 20 videos, and we've provided you 20 spots here to drop in the title, description, and file name of the MP4, YouTube, Vimeo, or Ustream file. Here's a page with all the avatars. So you would pick the number up here that you would want for your still image that stands behind the desk of your booth. And then getting into those 3 screens that I mentioned. Again, you have a large screen and 2 small screens. So this is the part of the grid that gives you ability to customize those 3 screens with videos, PDFs, or external URLs. We also give you ability to have multiple items in those. So here's where you'll find the content window for up to 5 PDFs. Here's the part for the small screen number 2. So same as small screen number 1 and large screen number 1. This is the area where you'll fill out to let us know what you want in screen number 2. Here's our large screen piece of the grid. Calls to action for your level 1. You have, let's see, up to 2 calls to action, 2 lollipop stands. So you have CTA1 and CTA2. Again, what would you like to call them? What do you want it to link to or open up? You have up to 15 character max of what you want to put on that call to action. And then again, you can have a URL or a PDF on top of that lollipop stand. Okay, let's get into tier 2. So the difference between tier 1 and tier 2 has all of the same features, all the same items I just went through in tier 1. Now the new things that you can add into a tier 2 booth would include 1 customizable avatar and 2 standard avatars. So instead of the 1 avatar standing behind the desk that you choose from our grid, you can choose 2 avatars from our listing, and you can provide us a picture of yourself or one of your other folks in your company, and we will add a customizable still image or avatar inside your booth for a total of 3 representatives standing in your booth with still images. The second item that you'll have available to you in a tier 2 would be an instrument. So here you'll see on my screen that I have an instrument sitting on a pedestal or a table. This is again a part of tier 2, so that you can have in fact an instrument. If you don't have instruments within your company, you could actually have a monitor here and have that monitor clickable to open up a demo, for example, of software. So instead of an instrument, you could actually have a monitor that's clickable to open up a video of a demo of your software. The other item that you have in a tier 2 is a welcome video. So let's go ahead and scroll down. All the same things that you had in a tier 1, including being able to host a meeting in your virtual booth. But then in addition to that, if you scroll down, you will have the ability, I'm sorry, let's scroll back up real quick. Okay, here we go. On page 7, you'll see that this is where you can add a booth greeting. Again, this is a greeting that when attendees first come into your booth, they are welcomed into your booth with that greeting. This is something that you would do on your own. Provide us the MP4 and we would drop it in. We have the specifications here on how to create that welcome video. We can also support any kind of company video that you might have for that welcome video. It doesn't have to be a person. It could be just a general video from your company. You can have it play when attendees first come in, or there's another option here where it can play on your large screen, or you can do both. So either it can open up when someone enters in for the first time, you can have a call to action on your large screen from your welcome video, or you can do both. The other extra item in a tier 2 is you get to have 4 booth representatives. So in a tier 1, you had 2 booth representatives. Again, these are people that are live in your booth, that you put their names and email addresses, and when attendees come into the booth, they are able to engage with you, these 4 representatives that we've set up for you. So we would need their names and their email addresses, and when they enter into the environment and into their booth, the system would recognize them as a booth rep, and they would be able to engage with attendees as a rep and see their rep dashboard. The other item that you have additional in a tier 2 is an additional CTA. So we'll go ahead and scroll down to there. You have all the same items for social media, your kiosk, your literature up to 20 items, your web links up to 20 web links, your videos up to 20 videos. Here are your avatars. Here's your specifications for a custom avatar. So again, if you want to provide us a picture of you or one of the people in your company, we can take them and place them into your booth as a still image. We've got your small screen, your second small screen, your large screen, which again can be a video, a PDF, or an external URL, or you can use it as your welcome video. And then here on a level 2, you get an additional CTA or call to action. So in tier 1, you had 2 lollipop stands or calls to action. In a tier 2, you have 3. Again, it can be something like a prize giveaway, take our survey, request more information, that kind of thing. So those are your CTAs, of which you get 3 in a tier 2. As I mentioned at the beginning in talking about tier 2, you now can place an instrument or a product on a table or a pedestal. If you don't have an instrument, again, we can place a monitor on that table or pedestal that can be clickable and open up a product or software demo. The last thing for a tier 2 in addition that you can have in your booth is one specialty item. That can include something like balloons, a mascot, a play card, small informational poster, that kind of thing. So if you choose, you would provide us a transparent ping, 500 by 500, and we would place that item into your booth for you. In this example, you can see it's a cluster of balloons in the top right corner. Okay, moving into tier 3. Tier 3, there's 2 levels of tier 3. The first level is you get everything that you got in tier 2, but there's a few extra items. Again, in a tier 1, tier 2, and the first level of tier 3, you're picking one of the 9 templates that are provided to you in the grid, the 9 booth templates that Pittcon has chosen that you can choose from. So let's go ahead and get into other options for tier 3. In tier 3, you still get your 2 rep avatars that are chosen from our rep listing, still images standing behind the desk. And now you get to have 2 personal or customizable avatars as well, for a total of 4 people standing in your booth. 2 are avatars from our list, and 2 are available to you to provide us pictures based on our specifications, and we will place those people inside your booth as still images. Attendees, when they come in, they would see those 2 faces that might be recognizable for your company, along with the other 2 avatars that you've chosen from our list. In addition to that, you also still get your welcome video. And now, instead of just 1 instrument on a table or pedestal, you can have up to 3. So in a tier 3, you get up to 3 instruments or software demos. So again, if you don't have products or instruments to place on the tables, we can put monitors on those tables, and they can be clickable to open up software demos. You still get those specialty items that I mentioned in tier 2. So as you can see, it can be a cluster of balloons, it can be a mascot, that kind of thing. And then in addition, now you have 1 pull-up banner for a tier 3. You can see that as an example here. That banner can sit anywhere inside your booth. In the grid, you'll have a place where you can let us know where you'd like that banner placed and how you would like that to be clickable, again, into a PDF, external URL, or a video. And then the last thing that's extra in a tier 3, the basic tier 3, is an additional monitor. So here you have your normal large screen monitor, your 2 small screens, and now you have a 3rd small screen. And then lastly, the addition to tier 3, you also get 3 additional calls to action. So in tier 1 and tier 2, you were able to have a couple calls to action. Now you can see I have 3 along the back wall for a total of 5 calls to action. These are really important if you have things that you want to try to bring out of your attendee, such as surveying them, giving prizes out, prize giveaway, obtaining requests for demos, things like that. So that's your tier 3. Now let's move into a customizable tier 3. So the difference between the first tier 3 that I explained and all the things that you get with it and a customizable tier 3 means that you take one of our 9 templates that are in this grid and we provide you the image so that you can customize it based on what you would wish for. So this is usually when you have a design team on your side that can take the PSD file that we give you of the template that you choose from the listing of templates here, and you are able to customize it and provide it back to us to drop into the environment. So again, you can see some examples here where a couple clients took our normal standard template and they customized it. There's nothing else outside of that I just talked about in tier 3. You still get all the same items, all the customizable to avatars, additional calls to action, additional instruments on pedestals, additional screen for a total of 4 screens, your welcome video, so you still get all those same things. It's just different where you can customize the standard template that you choose. The other last thing, most importantly, that a tier 3 has, whether it's the normal standard or customizable tier 3, is you do get to have up to 8 booth representatives. So for tier 3, you get 8 people that can come in live and man that booth for the whole live expo. Again, they would be recognized by their name and email address, they would have access to the rep dashboard, and they would be able to engage with attendees as a representative. Go ahead and talk about a tier 4. So the tier 4 is going to include everything that you had in a tier 3, all those additional items. The only difference is you actually are able to fully customize your booth. You don't have to choose a template, one of the 9 templates. You can completely customize your booth. So in this grid, we provide you the specifications of how to create that grid, that booth for us, so that we can in fact then drop it in and add all those other elements that you see in my screenshot here above, which includes your information kiosk, your screens, your calls to action, your banners, your instruments, your avatars. So you're still getting everything that you got in tier 3, but now you're able to completely customize your booth. Again, on page 2, we've got all the specifications of all those items that we would be able to place in there once you provide us back that PSD file. In addition, in a tier 4, to all the things that I mentioned in tier 3, you now have up to 12 booth representatives. So as I scroll down into that area, you'll see you still get all the same things that you got in the ones before, screens, products, information there. But the main difference here is that you get up to 12 booth representatives and you get to customize your own booth. So having that 12, again, they can man the booth live over the Expo Live days, be able to engage with attendees and see their rep dashboard.